after the death of her husband, she donating her milk to other species. 3 months had passed since the transport accident that claimed his life during a diplomatic mission to the Kepler colonies, yet his coffee mug still sat unwashed beside the molecular scanner, as if waiting for his return. Sarai pressed her palm against her swollen breast, wincing at the tenderness. The milk continued to flow despite her grief, despite the emptiness that echoed through their shared quarters. Dr. Elrond Vayek, Marcus's research partner, had suggested suppressants weeks ago, but something held her back, perhaps the last physical connection to the child they'd never have together. The Zephyrian delegation is requesting another meeting, Elrond said softly, entering the lab with careful steps. His weathered face bore the same exhaustion that had become commonplace among the research team since Marcus's death. They're young ones. They're not responding to any of our synthetic alternatives. Sarai turned from the window, her green eyes reflecting both pain and curiosity. The Zephyrians were a proud, crystalline-skinned species whose diplomatic relationship with humanity remained fragile. Their reproductive cycle was complex, requiring specific nutrients that their war-torn homeworld could no longer provide. Marcus had been working on a solution when he died. "Show me the data," she whispered, her voice hoarse from disuse. The holographic displays revealed the heartbreaking truth. 12 Zephyrian infants, their translucent skin dimming with malnutrition, their parents desperate and growing increasingly hostile toward the human medical team. Traditional feeding methods had failed catastrophically. "There's something else," Elrond hesitated, pulling up a secondary screen. Marcus's final research notes. He was investigating biocompatibility between human lactation and alien metabolisms. The preliminary results were promising. Sarai's heart hammered against her ribs as she absorbed the implications. Marcus had discovered that human breast milk, particularly hers, due to a rare genetic variant, contained compounds that could nourish multiple species. The research was incomplete, theoretical, but it represented hope where none existed. "The ethics committee would never approve human testing," Elrond continued, "but the Zephyrian High Council is considering a formal request for unconventional methods." The silence stretched between them, heavy with possibility and fear. Sarai closed her eyes, remembering Marcus's hands on her face the night before his final mission, his voice promising they'd start their family when he returned. He'd spoken of bringing different worlds together, of finding unity in the vastness of space. "Schedule the meeting," she said finally, surprising herself with the steadiness in her voice. "I want to speak with the Zephyrian parents myself." Elrond's eyes widened. "Sarai, you can't be serious. The physiological risks alone." Marcus believed in building bridges, she interrupted, touching the silver pendant at her throat, a gift from their wedding day. "He died trying to help them. If there's a chance his work could save those children, I have to try." That evening, alone in her quarters, Sarai stood before the mirror, studying her reflection. The woman looking back seemed older, hollowed by grief, but strengthened by purpose. She placed both hands over her heart, feeling the steady rhythm that had carried her through the darkest weeks of her life. Tomorrow, she would meet with beings from another world, offering them the most intimate gift she possessed. It terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. Perhaps in nurturing alien young, she could honor Marcus's memory while healing her own wounded soul. The conference room hummed with tension as 3 Zephyrian delegates entered, their crystalline skin catching the artificial light like living gems. Sarai had prepared herself for this moment, yet seeing them in person, their graceful movements, their faces etched with parental desperation, sent her pulse racing. The eldest delegate, Kithara, spoke first through the translation device. "Human Sarai, we understand your mate perished seeking to aid our young. This sacrifice honors both our species." Sarai nodded, fighting back tears. "Marcus would want me to continue his work. Your children shouldn't suffer because of incomplete research. The second delegate, younger with silver-blue skin, leaned forward urgently. Our traditional nursing mothers have fallen ill from contaminated food supplies. The synthetic alternatives cause severe reactions. Without intervention, our infants will not survive the next lunar cycle. Dr. Vec shifted uncomfortably beside Sarai. The compatibility tests are promising, but we've never attempted interspecies lactation. The risks are mine to take. Sarai interrupted firmly. She turned to face Kethara directly. I've lost everything that mattered to me. If I can give your children life, then my grief finds purpose. The third delegate, an elderly female with deep purple markings, studied Sarai with ancient eyes. In our culture, sharing life essence creates bonds deeper than blood. You would become Kothani, soul mother to our young. This is not a decision made lightly. Sarai felt something stir within her chest, not fear, but recognition. She thought of Marcus's gentle hands, his dreams of a universe where different species could coexist as family. I understand the honor you're offering. I accept. The following days blurred together in a whirlwind of medical preparations and cultural education. Sarai learned Zephyrian birthing songs, studied their complex family structures, submitted to countless tests that confirmed her milk's compatibility with their physiology. Dr. Vajek documented everything with scientific precision, but she could see wonder growing in his eyes. When the moment finally arrived, Sarai found herself in a specially prepared nursery, its atmosphere adjusted to Zephyrian needs. The walls shimmered with soft blue-green light that reminded her of ocean depths. In her arms lay Zareth, the youngest of the orphaned infants, his tiny form barely the size of a human newborn, but infinitely more fragile. As she guided him to her breast, time seemed suspended. The first tentative contact sent shockwaves through both their systems, his tiny body relaxing as instinct took over, hers flooding with oxytocin and something deeper, more profound than mere chemistry. Kethara watched from nearby, tears streaming down her crystalline cheeks. He feeds, she whispered in wonder. The light returns to his skin. Indeed, Zareth's translucent flesh began to glow with renewed vitality, the bioluminescent patterns that indicated health slowly returning. Sarai felt an overwhelming rush of maternal protectiveness, her heart expanding to encompass this alien child as naturally as breathing. Marcus would be amazed, Dr. Vec murmured, his voice thick with emotion as he recorded the historic moment. As the weeks passed, Sarai's days became filled with purpose. She nursed not only Zareth, but 3 other Zephyrian infants, their parents teaching her their lullabies, sharing their hopes and fears. The grief that had consumed her began transforming into something beautiful, a love that transcended species, that honored her husband's memory through acts of life-giving compassion. In quiet moments, cradling alien young against her chest, Sarai felt Marcus's presence more strongly than ever. She was building the bridges he'd dreamed of, one feeding at a time, one tiny life at a time. 6 weeks into the nursing program, Sarai's life had transformed beyond recognition. Her quarters now resembled an interspecies nursery with environmental controls adjusted for various alien physiologies and walls lined with cultural artifacts gifted by grateful parents. The grief that once consumed her had evolved into something complex and beautiful, a fierce protectiveness that knew no species boundaries. Dr. Vajek entered her living space carrying the latest medical reports, his expression a mixture of scientific fascination and deep concern. The Zephyrian infants are thriving beyond our wildest projections, he announced, setting down the data pad. But Sarai, we need to discuss the long-term implications of what you're doing. She looked up from where she sat nursing Lyra, a Kepler colony hybrid infant whose human father had died in the same accident as Marcus. The child's dual heritage made her particularly vulnerable to malnutrition, but Sarai's milk seemed to provide exactly what she needed. "The Altarian Council has requested a meeting," Elrond continued. "Their hatchlings are facing a similar crisis. Word is spreading through the outer colonies about what you've achieved here." Sarai felt a flutter of both pride and trepidation. "How many species are we talking about?" 7 confirmed requests so far, but the number is growing daily. The political ramifications alone. He paused, studying her face. "Sarai, you're inadvertently becoming a symbol of interspecies cooperation. The Galactic Council is taking notice." The weight of his words settled over her like a warm blanket. Marcus had always dreamed of a universe where artificial barriers between species dissolved in favor of genuine understanding. Perhaps his death, as tragic as it was, had created an opportunity for unprecedented unity. A soft chime announced an incoming message. The holographic display showed Kethara, the Zephyrian delegate, her crystalline features radiant with joy. "Soul Mother Sarai," she began, using the honorary title the Zephyrians had bestowed upon her. "The Council of Mothers wishes to extend an invitation. Our homeworld celebration of new growth approaches, and tradition demands that all who have nursed our young participate in the ceremony of eternal bonds." Sarai's breath caught. Being invited to Zephyr Prime represented more than diplomatic courtesy. It was recognition of her role in their society's continuation. "I'm honored by the invitation, but I have responsibilities here." "Bring them." Kethara smiled, a sound like crystal chimes in her voice. "All the young ones you nurture, from whatever species. Let the universe witness what love can accomplish when freed from the constraints of biology." That evening, as Sarai prepared for sleep, she found herself video-calling Marcus's parents on Earth. Her mother-in-law, Eleanor, appeared on screen with tears in her eyes. "We've been following the news reports," Elena said softly. "Marcus would be so proud of you, dear. You've taken his work and made it into something even more beautiful." "I miss him every day," Sarai admitted, her voice breaking slightly. "But when I hold these children, when I see them growing strong and healthy, I feel like he's still with me somehow." "He is," Elena assured her. "Love doesn't die, sweetheart. It transforms, grows, finds new ways to express itself. You're living a proof of that." Later, alone in the dimly lit nursery, Sarai moved quietly between the sleeping infants. Zareth, now robust and glowing with health, shared a crib with young Lyra, their different physiologies somehow complementary. In the corner, 3 Kepler colony children slept peacefully, their breathing synchronized in the way that spoke of deep contentment. She thought about the invitation to Zephyr Prime, about the growing requests from other species, about the unprecedented opportunity to build the kind of universe Marcus had envisioned. The path ahead would be challenging, potentially dangerous, but it felt right in a way that nothing had since his death. Placing her hand over her heart, Sarai made a silent promise to the man she'd loved and lost. She would continue this work, nurturing not just alien young, but the bonds between species, until the stars themselves bore witness to the power of love transcending all boundaries. The transport ship, Harmony's Promise, cut through the starfield toward Zephyr Prime, its cargo bay converted into a specialized nursery for the journey. Sarai stood at the observation deck, holding 2-month-old Kessilan, an Altarian hatchling whose down-like feathers had grown lustrous and strong under her care. Beside her, Dr. Vayek monitored the vital signs of their extraordinary passengers, 15. Infants from 7 different species, all thriving under Sarai's nurturing. "The Zephyrian homeworld is beautiful," Vayek murmured, studying the approaching planet. Its surface shimmered with crystalline cities that caught and refracted light like scattered diamonds. "I still can't believe we're making history," Sarai adjusted Kesselan's position, smiling as the hatchling cooed in contentment. Marcus always said the universe was too vast for any one species to understand alone. Maybe this is how we learn, by caring for each other's children. The landing ceremony exceeded all expectations. Representatives from dozens of species had gathered in the capital city's great amphitheater, their varied forms creating a tapestry of diversity that took Sarai's breath away. As she descended the ship's ramp, carrying infants from multiple worlds, a profound silence fell over the assembly. Kethara approached, her ceremonial robes shimmering with embedded crystals that told the story of her lineage. "Soul Mother," she said, her voice carrying across the gathering without amplification. "You have answered our call for aid, and in doing so, revealed the truth our ancestors knew, but we had forgotten, that nurturing knows no boundaries when love guides the heart." The ceremony itself was unlike anything in human experience. Sarai found herself at the center of a vast circle, each infant she had nursed presented to representatives of their species. As she placed each child in their family's arms, something profound happened. The assembled beings began to emit low, harmonious sounds that resonated through the crystalline structures around them. "They're singing!" Dr. Vaek whispered in amazement, his instruments detecting harmonic frequencies that spanned multiple species' vocal ranges. "They're creating a song that includes everyone." As the evening progressed, Sarai was approached by delegates from species she'd never encountered. The Mothwing Collective, ethereal beings who communicated through patterns of light, projected images of their struggling nurseries. The deep dwellers of Titan's oceans sent holographic representatives pleading for assistance with their pressure-sensitive young. "The word spreads faster than light itself," explained Ambassador Thorne, a seasoned diplomat who had worked with Marcus on numerous occasions. "What you've started here, Sarai, it's changing the fundamental nature of interspecies relations. The Galactic Council is proposing new accords based on the principle of nurturing solidarity." That night, in quarters provided by the Zephyrian government, Sarai sat surrounded by sleeping infants from multiple worlds. Zareth, now robust and luminescent, had taken on the role of protector for the younger ones, his species' instinctive communal nature extending to his adoptive siblings. Dr. Vaek joined her on the balcony overlooking the crystal gardens. "The medical data is remarkable," he said quietly. "Your milk continues to adapt to each species' needs, almost as if your body is learning from each feeding. Marcus's research suggested genetic flexibility, but this exceeds every projection." "It's not just biological," Sarai replied, watching the alien constellations wheel overhead. "When I hold them, when I feed them, I can feel their emotional needs too. Each species experiences love differently, but the core need for nurturing, that's universal." A soft chime announced an incoming priority message from Earth. Sarai's heart skipped as she recognized the sender, the Terran Colonial Council. "Mrs. Velmorin," the council chairman's image appeared. "We've been monitoring your activities with great interest. The Galactic Assembly has passed Resolution 2847, officially recognizing cross-species maternal bonds as a protected form of diplomatic immunity. You've essentially created a new form of interstellar law." As the implications sank in, Sarai felt Marcus's presence more strongly than ever. His dream of unity among the stars was becoming reality, built not on treaties or trade agreements, but on the fundamental act of a mother feeding her children, regardless of their origin. "What happens now?" she asked the chairman. "Now?" He smiled. "You help us build the future your husband envisioned. The Council is establishing the Institute for Interspecies Nurturing, with you as its founding director. Will you accept?" Looking down at the sleeping infants, each one a bridge between worlds, Sarai knew her answer. Marcus's legacy would live. On through every child she helped nurture, every bond she helped forge between species that had once been strangers. 1 year after the ceremony of infinite bonds, the Institute for Interspecies Nurturing occupied an entire wing of the Galactic Council headquarters. Sarai's office overlooked the memorial gardens, where Marcus's name was now etched alongside. For the pioneers of interstellar cooperation, the irony wasn't lost on her. Through his death, he had become more influential than he could have imagined in life. Dr. Vajek entered carrying the latest progress reports, his face showing the satisfaction of a scientist whose work had transcended mere research. "The Centauri outbreak has been contained," he announced. "The emergency nursing corps you trained arrived just in time. 17 species working together to save children they'd never seen before." Sarai looked up from her desk where she'd been, reviewing applications for the advanced nursing program. Hundreds of individuals from across the galaxy sought training in cross-species childcare, creating a network of nurturers that spanned star systems. "And the political situation?" she asked, knowing that not all species had embraced the new paradigm. "The rigid consortium continues to resist integration, but their position weakens daily. It's hard to argue against a program that's saving lives and building genuine peace." Elrond paused, studying her face. "Sarai, there's something else. The Council has approved your proposal for the Marcus Velmarin Memorial Nursery on the neutral station. Construction begins next month." Tears gathered in her eyes as she imagined it, a place where any child from any species could receive care, where the artificial boundaries between worlds dissolved in the face of basic compassion. It would be Marcus's true monument, built not of stone but of love, transcending all differences. A gentle knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Zareth entered, now a toddler by Zephyrian standards, his crystalline skin radiant with health and intelligence. Behind him walked Lyra, the half-human child who had become like a daughter to Sarai, and Kesselan, whose Altarian features had grown beautiful with maturity. "Mama Sarai," Zareth said in perfectly accented standard, using the title all her. "Nurse children had adopted. The Council of Mothers wants to know if you'll accept the honor of eternal nest keeper." Sarai knelt to embrace him, marveling at how this small being had grown into a bridge between worlds. "What would that mean?" "It means," Kethara said, entering behind the children, "that you would be recognized across all species as the mother, who showed us that family is not defined by biology, but by love freely given." The ceremony took place at sunset in the Memorial Gardens, with representatives from 43 different species in attendance. As Sarai stood where Marcus's name was carved in granite, she felt his presence surrounding her like a warm embrace. The children she had nursed, now numbering in the hundreds, formed a circle around her, their various species creating a living tapestry of interstellar harmony. Ambassador Thorn read the proclamation, "In recognition of extraordinary service to interspecies understanding and the preservation of life across all boundaries, Sarai Velmarin is hereby declared eternal nest keeper, guardian of the universal bond, and founding architect of our shared future." As the assembled beings raised their voices in the harmony of unity, a song that had evolved from that first ceremony on Zephyr Prime, Sarai closed her eyes and let the sound wash over her. 43 different species singing together, their children healthy and thriving because one woman had chosen to transform her grief into love. That night, in the nursery of her private quarters, she sat with her current charges, 3 infants from species that had only recently made contact with the galactic community. As she nursed them, she whispered the stories Marcus used to tell about distant worlds and the people who might live there. "You see," she murmured to the sleeping babies, "your papa was right. The universe is too big for any one species to understand alone, but together, we can nurture miracles. Through the window, stars wheeled in their eternal dance, and somewhere among them, children from dozens of worlds slept safely because one woman had learned that love, when freely given, knows no boundaries. Marcus's dream had become reality, built one feeding at a time, one child at a time, one bond at a time. In the quiet of the nursery, surrounded by the soft breathing of alien young, Sarai finally felt complete peace. Her grief had not disappeared. It had transformed into something greater than she could have imagined. Love had indeed found a way, just as Marcus had always believed it would.